Welcome back to Top 5. Rain tapped against the dingy window of Detective Marla Wright's office, the rhythmic sound lulling her into a trance. The flickering overhead light cast oscillating shadows across the walls, echoes of an unsettling past that refused to let her go. For the past 5 years, a case had weighed heavily on her conscience, the disappearance of a young girl named Lily Dawes, who had vanished without a trace on a foggy evening in 2018. Despite her relentless investigations, all leads had turned cold, and the case had officially gone unsolved. That evening, as she absent-mindedly flipped through the yellowed pages of old case files, a knock on her door jolted her into alertness. It was a package, delivered by a courier with a peculiar expression. "For you, detective," he said solemnly, before turning without another word and retreating down the corridor. Curious, Marla picked up the box. It was small, carved from deep mahogany, with intricate designs scratched into its surface. A faint aura of foreboding surrounded it, almost palpable. She quickly ripped the brown paper off, her heartbeat quickening. A note lay atop the box, scrawled in uneven handwriting. "Clues await, the truth is near. Solve the puzzle, but beware, for darkness lurks here." Hesitant yet compelled, Marla set the note aside and examined the box. It was locked, the only feature being a small rotating dial at its top, covered in cryptic symbols. She instinctively felt that this was something deeply connected to Lily's case. Marla spent the next hour analyzing the symbols, attempting to decipher their meaning. Under the desk lamp's warm glow, she slipped into a trance. With each turn of the dial, the ambient light flickered, shadows seemingly dancing in the corners of her vision. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the hallway. Startled, she jumped, her heart pounding fiercely in her chest. She shook her head, pushing away the paranoia. Determined, she returned her focus to the box. After several attempts, all symbols began to make sense. They matched a sequence from Lily's last known whereabouts: a neighborhood park, the curve of a swing, the abandoned carousel that whispered of laughter long gone. With a final turn, a faint click resonated, and the box creaked open. Inside, a single blue envelope lay neatly folded. "Open me," it demanded, a taunt that sent chills down her spine. She ripped it open, the paper's edges crumbling in her grip. "Follow the trail of lavender blooms, where shadows linger and silence looms. Beneath the old oak, secrets unfold, what you seek lies beneath the cold." The puzzle had begun. Marla felt the urge to abandon her investigation, but she was drawn deeper into the enigma. The park was close to her office. She arrived moments later, the rain having turned to a soft drizzle. Gnarled branches reached out like skeletal hands, shadows stretching ominously across the turf. As she wandered, the air grew thick and heavy. Suddenly, she spotted it, an ancient oak, its bark as rough as years of neglect and sorrow. Kneeling, she dug into the moist earth, her fingers trembling with anticipation. Nothing. But as she was ready to give up, the ground crumbled beneath her fingers, revealing a small metallic object, a key. Cold and heavy in her palm, it was similar to the one used in old-fashioned locks. Marla stood, feeling a strange tingling at the base of her neck. In that moment, the air shifted, and a whisper floated past her ears, almost imperceptible. "Help me." A child's voice, suffocated with fear, hung in the air. Goosebumps erupted along her skin and she gasped, looking around nervously. Pushing through the panic, she examined the key closer. Its surface was engraved with a symbol matching the one on the puzzle box. Of course. The lock. Back at her office, the rain intensified, creating an eerie ambience through the rattling windows. She placed the key into the box and turned it. Another click, another whir, and suddenly, the space transformed. The lights dimmed, and an illusion unveiled, she found herself in a dark room filled with mirrors, their glass twisted and darkened with time. Each reflection shimmered dreadfully, revealing glimpses of haunting figures trapped in glass. Amongst them, a little girl with pleading eyes pulled at her heartstrings, Lily. "Detective!" the voice echoed. A cluster of mirrors blended into one another, distorting her surroundings further. She closed her eyes tightly and shook her head, battling the illusions. "Lily!" Marla screamed, her voice shaking. "Where are you?" Below, the voice whispered, and the mirrors quaked violently, causing her to stumble backward. Just as she regained her footing, a loud crack shattered the momentary calm. A mirror behind her shattered into a million shards, the sound like nails scratching on a chalkboard. Jumping, Marla spun on her heels. An eerie figure emerged through the wreckage, its features blurred and unrecognizable. "If you seek the truth, you must face the fear," it hissed, an echo of darkness swallowing the room. A cold wave washed over her, and the detective realized this apparition was a manifestation of her own guilt. "I couldn't save you," she screamed, desperate. Without warning, the figure lunged at her. Heart racing, she dodged to the side as it faded into another mirror, leaving behind a cold breath that nipped at her heels. Suddenly, the box's lid snapped shut, and Marla fell to the floor, panting. It had contained more than just riddles, it delved into the deepest corners of her mind. She clutched the key tightly, fear coursing through her veins. With renewed determination, she raced back to the park. An old well stood quietly at the foot of the oak, hidden like a secret buried long ago. Could this be where Lily was? "We're going to find you," Marla promised into the dark, the echoes mocking her resolve. With swift strokes, she pried the well cover open, a rancid smell wafting up like death itself. Her eyes adjusted to the darkness below, she shone her flashlight down, revealing a narrow staircase winding into the earth. Fears circulated wildly in her mind, but she could not falter now. Each step creaked ominously, a battle of the living against the dead. The air felt alive as if spirits wandered close, whispering their truths into her ears. She descended bravely until she reached a chamber, the walls covered in the same symbols from the puzzle box, ancient and cryptic. In the center, an altar stood, adorned with gifts, a faded dress, a teddy bear. They burned with memories, and terror sunk its claws into her heart. There, surrounded by shimmering echoes of laughter and cries for help, Marla realized the truth. But just as she was about to claim it, the darkness surged, forming into the figure again, its eyes fierce and pleading. "You must leave, lest you become like them. The truth is not for the faint of heart." With a sudden surge of strength, Marla resolved to break the cycle. She reached into her pocket, retrieving the key, and placed it on the altar, offering it to the void. "I release the shadows," she proclaimed. "Lily, I will save you." In a flash, the echoes screamed, rattling every fiber of her being. The walls jolted, collapsing shadows clawing toward her, all the while the presence of the little girl lingered behind her eyes. The darkness roared in defiance, but the light she had ignited within blazed brightly. With a final push, the air around her rippled, and the chamber exploded. Marla woke on the park's grass, drenched and gasping. The box lay beside her, closed, its grip upon her psyche released. She blinked rapidly, the world around her returning to color. But the age-old question still hung in the air. Had she really rescued Lily, or was this merely another illusion crafted by her own guilt? She heard laughter ripple through the playground as petals of lavender danced in the wind, this time not a whisper of darkness, but a promise. The case was far from over, but Marla felt a flicker of hope. Following the whispers of fate, she resolved to turn the shadows into light, and to forever unravel the unsolved puzzle hidden within. And thus, the detective, though forever haunted, was ready to chase after a mystery that dared to seek her own resolution. Marla lay there, the faint sounds of children playing in the park mingling with the heavy echoes of her heart's racing rhythm. The sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the space where shadows had only just reigned. She clutched the box tightly, contemplating the cryptic promises and the near brush with malevolence. But beneath the surface of the tranquility, something remained unsettled. The echoes of laughing children turned into whispers, words tangled in the wind, "Help her, help us." With a determined fire ignited deep within her, she rushed back to her office, clutching the box like a talisman against unseen forces. Yet caution clung to her. She could feel the presence of something sinister still lurking in the periphery of her vision, just beyond comprehension. Once back, Marla locked the door and sat at her desk, the box open before her, the contents still obscured from view. The mirror image from the well returned unbidden to her mind. What sinister truth awaited her in this mess of riddles, shadows, and despair? As she rifled through the notes, Marla felt the air shift again, a chilling weight pressed down on her as if the room had become a claustrophobic void. The candle she'd lit flickered wildly, casting jagged shadows that danced on the walls. Then, from within the box, something rustled. Emerging was a delicate, vibrant purple flower. It emanated a soft glow, bathing the room in a surreal light. Confused, Marla reached for it, the moment her fingers made contact triggering an explosive flash. Suddenly, she no longer sat in her office. Instead, she found herself engulfed in a dazzling realm of swirling mist and vibrant colors. With each blink, the world warped, and the gentle aroma of lavender filled the air, intoxicating yet exhilarating. "Nobody ever leaves," a child's voice chimed sweetly from within the mist. "Lily?" Marla cried, scanning the vast expanse for any sign of the little girl. The air vibrated with laughter and faint cries, the mixture both playful and tormenting. The sunlight poured in from every direction, twisting her perception of space and time. Then, there she was, a figure wearing a floral dress, her hair shining in the bright light. It was Lily, but she looked different. Her eyes twinkled with an eerie innocence, yet they were trapped within a complex web of manipulation. "Help me, detective." Lily echoed, but this time, the desperation bled away into something more sinister. "You must find the truth. Join me." Marla's heart sank as realization dawned. The promises from the box were twisted illusions crafted by the very essence of the puzzle. They were luring her deeper into a labyrinth of delusions. This realm didn't just contain Lily, it ensnared all the lost spirits of those who had been wronged. "No!" Marla shouted, stepping backward as her surroundings morphed. The air thickened with the hate-filled whispers of others who had fallen into the same trap, their grief condensing into a suffocating fog. She realized she was surrounded by faceless figures, each a reflection of the deeply buried guilt and fear she had always tried to evade. "She is yours now," a voice, once sweet and childlike, droned. It echoed with a haunting resonance as if it belonged to all children who had disappeared, combined into a chorus of misfortune. Marla felt an overwhelming pull, a twinge in her very soul, a moment where she was no longer herself but an amalgamation of sadness and regret. This playground of horrors beckoned her deeper, the atmosphere saturating her thoughts with. "Join them, Marla," a figure whispered from the depths of her psyche, the twisted essence of guilt, fear, and retribution coursing through her veins. "You've always been one of us." Panic surged through her, but she found herself drawn into the laughter, the echoing of innocent tones masking a reality far more sinister. Mesmerized, she began to spin in circles, the colors of her surroundings blending into a dizzying kaleidoscope. Then, everything stopped. The world went silent, except for the faint flicker of Marla's breath. The joyous children's laughter transformed into terrifying shrieks, weaving through the fabric of her mind, cutting deeper than she thought possible. And just as despair consumed her, she gasped. Here, swirling in this torment, was an opportunity, one that had eluded her for so long. She could save them, she could save Lily. "No!" Marla screamed back at the onslaught of voices that echoed her doubts. "I will not join you. I will find a way to free you." Lily's visage shifted, pulling back the layers of innocence to reveal her more menacing side. It's too late for you, you're forever entwined in our fates. You've already made the choice by searching for me. With that, the walls of reality crumbled, flickering out like a dying ember. The ground shook, and Marla plummeted into darkness, the world around her collapsing into shadows. She clawed at nothingness, desperately trying to breathe, to pull herself back. The laughter grew louder, more sinister, and suddenly she was falling into the very essence of the puzzle, a mirror reflecting her deepest fears. There were too many faces, too many lives suspended in silent screams. But just as despair seemed insurmountable, Marla grasped onto a sliver of determination. The box, she could reverse what had happened. She focused all her might, the memories of the living slamming against the veil of the dead. With a surge of unstoppable energy, Marla screamed, "No, I will not be your pawn." And then, silence. She awoke in her dimly lit office, strewn ornaments and scattered papers showing signs of the chaos that had transpired. The puzzle box still lay at her feet, a self-referential creation, an entity alive in its own right. Clenching her fist, Marla opened it once more, but what she found this time left her breathless. Inside lay a note, one she had not seen before. "Welcome to the game." A twisted smile leapt to life within her chest, one that was not entirely her own. Her reflection snapped into clarity as she looked into an antique mirrored surface, revealing more than just herself. The haunting laughter spilled from her lips, not of fear but exhilaration. Marla's soul had succumbed, she had become one with the shadows, the twisted embodiment of her guilt and desire to appropriate lost innocence. And so, there she stood, locked forever within the unsolved puzzle, the detective now part of the very darkness she had once sought to vanquish, a collector of secrets entwined with the lost. "Lily," she whispered, a smile blooming across her face, "I won't be alone anymore." Outside, the sun set, painting the horizon in crimson hues. It was dusk, and as the park grew cold, a new child's laughter drifted through the air, beckoning the next innocent soul toward the park's depths, a new flutter of lavender adorning the path, leading more lost spirits to uncover their fates and unravel their tales within the sinister depths of the unsolved puzzle.